Hello and welcome back to Just Megalise, a podcast about healing, remembering who you are, and diving into deeper alignment. I'm Meg, and I'll be your host. So this week has been a difficult one for me. One of my cousins passed away, but I wanted to take today's episode to talk about grief and also to give you a meditation for processing grief. Disclaimer for this episode, if you are newly into grief or the loss of a loved one, this episode might not be for you. We do go into some very deep subjects around loss and around grief. I talk about my own personal experience with grief after I lost my father and what happened to me to allow you to feel that you're not alone in what you experienced. But at the same time, it might be too heavy of an episode if you're not ready for that right now. So just a disclaimer before we start. Also, I'll be sure to put in the description what time the meditation starts. So I am teaching a meditation during this episode, so I'll make sure to put in the description like the meditation starts at this time if you just want to fast forward to that. Unfortunately, I do have a lot of experience with grief in my life, probably the most notable being when I lost my father. I wanted to talk about first the 5 stages of grief and how I experienced it and how others might experience it as well. And like everybody's going to experience grief in a different way. And I also want to, like I said, just hold space for somebody else who's going through grief and offer you a guided meditation to maybe help you process some of that. First, what are the 5 stages of grief? I think it was first introduced by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. It was in a book called On Death and Dying that was published in 1969. So her 5 stages of grief are 1, denial or shock, then anger, then bargaining, then depression, then acceptance. So in the denial stage, or in what some call the shock stage, I think for me, I was in shock for a while. Like right when it happened, I'm just using my father as an example. Right when I first lost my father, like it doesn't feel real. It feels like you're in this surreal secondary world, you know, like no, this doesn't exist. This didn't happen. This is all a joke. He's going to pop out from a closet and say, just joking. Like it didn't actually happen. And I think for a lot of people, when you're in that shock phase, it can almost feel like, how do I explain this? When I was in the shock phase, I would have times where I cried all the time, but then I would have times where I didn't cry at all for weeks at a time. And it felt like if I wasn't, like I tried explaining this to a friend one time who had also lost her father, and she absolutely agreed with me, but she was like, I've never had somebody put it into words like that. But it felt like I was a bad person or a bad daughter because I wasn't constantly grieving him. Even though I was grieving him at the time, it was just, I was in shock. You know, I was still in this mode of like, this can't be happening. This isn't real. You know, like my brain wasn't fully ready to accept what had happened. As brains do, they try and keep us safe. And not always in the most helpful of ways, but it's a natural response from our human brain that when the loss of something, when the weight of something is so heavy, the brain will tell you, no, that didn't happen. That didn't happen. And so that's what the shock or the denial phase felt like for me. It felt very surreal. Like I was living somebody else's life, like I was in a movie or a dream. And it felt like that for weeks, for months. And so that is completely normal. And you know what else I had? It was like if I had moments of joy or moments where I laughed, I would feel tremendous guilt because it felt like I was a bad daughter for feeling joy. Like I should feel sad in this moment. I should feel grief in this moment. And there was so much weird emotions and weird thoughts like that. Like I wasn't allowed to feel joy or else I was like not grieving properly, you know, or something like that, which is so untrue. You're allowed to feel joy after a loss. Like you're allowed to laugh after a loss. And that's another thing that I realized later on in adulthood was like, I do believe in the afterlife. I don't want to go too much into my beliefs because that's not what this episode is about, but I do believe like there's a divine energy that we all return to one day. And that energy is made of love, like love and light. I pictured him, this was years later, I pictured him like looking at me and looking at my life, and I thought to myself, he doesn't want me to be unhappy. He would want me to be smiling and joyous and singing and dancing and enjoying my life. And so once I had that realization, I was like, Megan, you are doing him, it's the complete opposite of what you first thought. You are doing him a disservice by not feeling joy, and I'm sorry, I'm crying through this episode. It's just bringing up a lot of feelings and emotions. But you are doing him a disservice by not feeling joy, by not laughing, by not dancing and enjoying your life. Like, that's what he would have wanted. And of course, at first, I think it's very normal to feel like you can't do those things, especially in the beginning, right after a loss. That I think that's probably so normal. After me speaking to other people who have lost someone, it's a very normal feeling to have and thoughts to have. Like, you almost feel guilty for feeling joy or laughing at a funny movie or whatever it is. But trust me, they are looking at you from the other side, wishing that you felt joy, wishing that you thought of them with love and light and only thought of the good memories and pictured them happy and healthy and at peace, which I believe that they are. And then as far as the anger aspect of things, like, I definitely went through that. I remember probably about 1.5 years after he passed, I just was like journaling, and then I just started screaming and like throwing things around the room. Like, I threw my journal across the room, I threw my pen across the room, and I'm just like screaming into a pillow, like, what the fuck? Why did this have to happen? And then you start blaming yourself. You start blaming anything that you can blame to just make it make sense in your head, right? The brain starts to, it's looking for solutions, right? It's, who can I blame? But often there is no one to blame. And it may show up as anger towards the person, like, how dare you leave me? Even if it's something that they couldn't control, or it could show up as blame towards a person or towards an event. It could show up as blame towards the world or blame towards God, like just anger towards all of those things. Like, all of that is normal. And I feel like I circled through all of those, like blaming and anger towards all of those, towards the world, towards God, towards myself. I made sure to make the rounds, make sure I was blaming anybody I could. And it's almost like a form of protest, and a way to like access strength when we feel powerless in that moment. Like, that's how I look at it. And then there is the bargaining phase, where we're asking God, the universe, whatever, just take it back. Just let's go back in time. Let's have a do-over. Let's pretend like this didn't happen. Let's like, surely we can reverse time and pretend this didn't happen. Like, let's pull me out of this dream, you know? When you're still in that feeling of like, it's a dream state. This isn't real. This isn't happening. This didn't happen. You start having thoughts like, if only I had done this, or maybe if I had done this. Like, the mind tries to, again, regain control by imagining scenarios where the outcome would have been different, right? It's a normal response from the brain, you know, it is. But the blaming and the guilt, we do have to try and work to release that and to tell ourselves, like, there's nothing I could have done. There's nothing I could have done. Like, it was either their time, but the bargaining thing I definitely went through as well. And then came the depression phase, the slow sorrow of reality setting in, that this is real, that this person is gone. And for me, there's a feeling of emptiness and heaviness that sat with me for a long time. And this part, although it is one of the hardest parts, it is necessary for our healing, like to feel the sadness. And I feel like during that part, I think we need support the most. And it's okay to reach out to people you love, or a therapist, or a trusted friend, a trusted family member, somebody to talk about what you're feeling. And the other thing is, like, there's no timetable. No person is going to grieve the exact same way. I feel like I was in the depression phase for a while after my dad passed. I mean, probably for years. It was years that I was in that depression and just sadness of the reality of this. Then after the depression phase comes acceptance. And Thankfully, I can say I'm in the acceptance phase now. And it's a feeling of like, yeah, it happened, but I'm still here. I'm still alive, and I still have the ability to feel joy and love my life and live a good life and be as happy as I can and help others. And it doesn't mean, like, being in the acceptance phase, it doesn't necessarily mean you're okay with it. It's just you've made peace with the reality of this. You've made peace with the loss. And again, there's no timetable for when these things are going to take place. It's going to be different for every single person. And I think one of the hardest parts too is like when people stop referencing the person that you love, right? Like they don't talk about them as much, and they're just not brought up in conversation as often. But the thing is, you can always keep their memory alive. And if it's important to you, you should be the one to keep their memory alive. Maybe still celebrating their birthday when it comes around, baking their favorite cake, playing their favorite music, going to places that you love to go together, going to places that they loved, going to the, if they loved going to the beach, if they loved going fishing in their memory, on their birthday, making a birthday toast for them. At Christmas, at holidays, making a toast for all of the people that you've lost. So if you're still grieving someone, I invite you now to join me in a meditation for processing grief. So go ahead and find a comfortable position, whether that's seated or laying down. And if you'd like, you can go ahead and close your eyes. And this particular meditation, like I said, is going to help us to process our grief after losing a loved one. Taking a deep breath in and exhale slowly. Just starting to relax the body. One more deep inhale and exhale. Knowing that this pain that you feel, this grief that you feel, it's only temporary. Knowing that although their time on this plane, on this earth plane has ended, it is not the end. Knowing that you still have a path to walk on this plane, and although having to walk it without them can be challenging, it is not without its own beauty. And we tend to see the darkness of grief when there's so much light that can be seen as well. The beautiful transitioning of that soul to the higher realms, to the higher planes, that is beautiful in and of itself. Them being greeted by loved ones as they pass over. It is a loss from our world. And it is okay to grieve. It is okay to feel. Maybe placing one hand on your heart, if it feels right. And picturing them now in your mind's eye, not in their sickness, not in their moment of loss, but in their moments of life. Picturing the sacred moments of life that they lived. Picturing them in joy. Picturing them in happiness. Picturing them laughing. Almost like a stream or a reel or a movie playing in your mind, just witnessing all of the beautiful, happy, joyous moments that you had together. Picturing all the people that they loved. Picturing all of the friendships that they shared. All of the beautiful moments that they lived, captured by that soul. And sending them gratitude and love for being a part of your life. And taking a moment now to maybe thank them for being a part of your life. Saying thank you. Thanking them for the precious and joyous moments that you shared. Thanking them for the lessons that you learned through them. Thanking them for being a part of your reality and a part of your life. And sending them thanks and gratitude for their existence. And if you believe in the afterlife, picturing them now as they would be in heaven or in a peaceful and serene afterlife. In the higher realms of reality, picturing that person living a joyous, free, peaceful, and radiant afterlife. While they are no longer here physically, They are still here spiritually, and they will always be with you. Just because we can no longer see them physically does not mean that their presence in your life is gone. Just knowing you can talk to them whenever you need to seek their guidance. Maybe even imagining them in front of you now, reaching out your hand, holding their hand. And just feeling that love and that pure positive joy radiating from them. Knowing all they want is your happiness. They want your joy. They want to see you dancing. They want to see you living a joyous life, making this life sacred, promising yourself you will do that for them, and you will do it for yourself. We can miss them and send them love and light and still dance and rejoice in the years and the days and the moments that we had with them, knowing that this separation is only temporary. And you will see them again. You will embrace them again one day in the other realms. Knowing that they are joyous when you are joyous. It is okay to feel your grief and all that that entails. It is okay to miss them. It is also okay to be joyous and be grateful for their existence. Picturing them now so happy and at peace in front of you, smiling. And if you'd like, you can picture yourself embracing them, holding them tight and telling them you love them and that you will miss them. And now, if you'd like, releasing your hands and allowing them to walk towards a beautiful healing light in front of you. Knowing they will always be here to call on when you need them. Sending them so much love for their existence. Just sending yourself so much love and gratitude for this moment. For the ability to love someone. Feeling so grateful for the time that you had together. And if you'd like, I'm going to repeat some affirmations, and you're welcome to repeat these along with me, either out loud or to yourself. Thank you for your existence. They will always be with me. I honor their life by allowing myself to feel joy. I honor their life with my laughter. I honor their life with my memories. I love you. Saying I love you not only to them, but to yourself. I love you. Now, if you'd like, you can release your hands and return the attention once more to the natural inhale and exhale. And when you're ready, wiggling fingers and toes and opening the eyes and coming back into this moment. Hopefully you all enjoyed that. And if you've lost somebody that you love, just know I see you. And I'm sending you so much love, strength, and peace. Thank you so much for joining me today. And until next time.